Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation, and just like many of you who are currently watching a video about 40K, I too watch videos about 40K. And I just got finished watching a very, very good video. I highly recommend it, from Warhammer 40K, W-O-R, Hammer 40K, all one word and the numbers, talking about an unkillable warrior brick. And as you can see by the title of the video, I'm here to offer a counterpoint. Now, this is the first time I've ever done this. And initially I was listening to it and I just had my thoughts in my head that I just kind of listened, was like, okay, but what about this? What about that? And it wasn't until I heard my boy Ulyss was involved in that video. And oh man, I love arguing with some Ulyss. Me and him have had some wonderful conversations. Love the dude. Some great Necron talk. And we both play very, very differently. Very differently. And have different concepts and have both had success on opposite sides of, well, the country for a long time. So when I heard that, I was like, oh man, I gotta say something. So first, shout out to the guy, Dan, over at Warhammer 40K. Take a look, watch the video, because I'm not going to cover all the comprehensive details of how this works. If you're new to Necrons, new to competitive 40K, let's say that much more, and you're really trying to run Necrons and you want a good starting core, that's probably where you should go. It will get you to think deeper about the game. It will get you to think deeper about Necrons and utilizing your strats. And it's resurrecting skeletons. It is Codex Necron. It is the cover of Codex Necron. Characters leading warriors, warriors getting resurrected, so your undead skeletons coming back. It is the very, very, very fluffy in that aspect of it. So if you like Necrons, you're going to get a lot of happiness out of that style build. But as the title recommends, I got a couple of thoughts on it and some things that some counterpoints, if you will, to some of these things. Now, I will highlight a lot of positivity about this. I just have a few things that are that because we discussed at the end of the video, some of what you need to watch out for, what you need to, what are some potential risks, some risk matchups, what those matchups are. And some of those risk factors, it makes me go, okay, but the points that we're investing into this, to something else, if we go take a sidestep on it and shave a little bit of that, are we not getting the same efficiency in that way? So the premise of Dan's video, which was built by a ton of community members and a ton of people who are very high-level Necron players. So again, check this video out. This is an excellent resource, especially if you're struggling with Necrons and you really want to play them in tournaments competitively. This is a good starting point. It's tried and true. But there's some aspects of difficulty. So one of the things that the video focuses on in the early stages is the fact that this build, this core combination, however you want to define it, can hold two objectives: your home field and center field. And one thing, by stretching that out, one thing that Dan didn't mention, this is another trick to it. So if nothing else, here's a trick that wasn't mentioned that I do want to bring up. Towards the early portion of the video, Dan mentions about coherency and saying, be mindful of the models you pick up because coherency isn't checked until the end of the turn, and you can place models back to rebuild coherency. All very true. However, the opposite is also a benefit. Because this unit is stretched out from your home field objective to the center objective, you are able to put the majority of this unit in your home deployment zone, in terrain, in cover, and spread them out to give you a little bit of deep strike coverage in that backfield while still holding the objective. By putting so many of those back on your home field and in terrain, it reduces how many you actually need to go forward. So at the tip of this Necron Conga line, you're going to need a triangle. You're going to need two models 2 inches away from each other at their furthest point, potentially giving you just barely a OC4 on that objective since they're OC2. 3 if there's a barge involved. And then 1 that triangulates back to them to be within 2 inches of both of those. So now that's legal coherency, and every single model 2 inches apart can fall back. please, if you're going to run this, get these templates. This is a 6-inch by 1-inch by 4-inch, but mostly by 2-inch template. You'll love this thing. It will help you so much. Any template that has that, to be able to keep that coherency. It's quicker. And when you do it with a tape measure, honestly, I don't know about everyone else out there. Whenever I try measuring coherency with a tape measure, and then I'm able to take a tool and put it next to it, I'm always way off in like, I'm shorting myself like almost half an inch off of it, trying to like aerial over models and not break them. So that's me. This is gold. Now, as he mentioned, you pick up, you can put back to establish coherency so that you don't lose models. This is true. But you can also pick up and remove models to break coherency intentionally. In these scenarios, if you have models up on an objective and your opponent's only way to take it away from you is to charge, this is pulling them into that trap. Yes, they're going to take home field away from you. There is no way you're going to be able to pile in and out OC them and pull as much as you need to pull up onto that objective, even on 6 inches, to take it away. And in return, even if you can, you are allowing that squad to get smacked another time. Yes, there's a whole bunch of reanimation triggers that can happen, but number one, you're moving forward. It means you're probably going to start moving away from your barge, your Ghost Arc, and your reanimator if you're dedicating more towards center. Or you're going to have to bring those things with the squad, which now takes away point number one. Now, these things aren't being hidden. These things are being revealed. Now, the opposite in this scenario, as I was mentioning, is that when you pick those models up that are destroyed in combat that are in coherency, you can intentionally break that coherency. So the Conga line chain of single models that you have stretching from your home field objective to the center objective, you can pull those in the middle. Let's say your opponent kills 7 on the charge. And so you got to pick up 7. Okay, so you pick them up out of the middle, you pick up your back triangle guy, and you leave 2 models there. So now all those dudes that are in that point that are right in the middle cannot move forward towards your unit because they're not going to be able to get in coherency. They're not going to be able to get into engagement, and they could potentially base a different model. So you're going to pull models back immediately. And on a 3-inch pile-in, you may have removed enough in that chain that you just need to remove 3-inch so they can't pile in the 3-inch fully and get into engagement with one of your guys. Pretty simple when you're picking up models that are spaced 2 inches apart. And their base size as well, count that into the math. So when you do that, now coherency check, end of turn. Well, you are broken in coherency. You have to remove models until you establish coherency. So you pull those 2 dudes that were hanging out in combat. Now you have established coherency. What else have you established? You are no longer in engagement with that unit. That unit's infantry, that may be the point and break between if you can hold the center or take back the center at all. By being able to now shoot and charge that unit, you could charge it either way. Well, you can charge it either way, but you can shoot it and then charge into it and then fight it there to remove it and take back home field. That could be critical. We have some quicker units with things like Scorpex and things like that, but we still want to kind of draw our opponent at least out of their deployment zone. Scorpex don't strike well into our opponent's deployment zone in the early goings of the game. It's later on, after we've eliminated some threats, that 8-inch move lets us then get 2 things, especially if we get out of combat, into our opponent's turn. Similar thing with why 3-man Scorpex are good. 3-man Scorpex do very good damage, but the damage they do is not so overwhelming that usually that also helps them so that they break during your opponent's fight phase, unless they fall back. And you can then have them to activate safely into your turn. So it means your opponent actually has to take consideration, do I fall back with this unit and so I can shoot the Scorpex down, or do I leave potential combat units in combat? What else are they going to do? So it puts makes your opponent think about those things. But initially, that was kind of one of the concepts that I was thinking about, that I was like, oh, hey, but what about this? It's a trick I love doing. I love doing that more than anything else in Necron Warriors, is when I run up a wall, put up a wall of warriors, someone charges, hits it, They're like, all right, cool. I took you down to like eight Necron warriors, or maybe like 9 Necron warriors. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll pull these 2. Now I'm going to go down to 7 Necron warriors, but I'm out of combat. Let's start resurrecting and start just reanimating back. Because now you look at things like the trigger from the Ghost Arc. Okay, you can reanimate. You can reanimate back in coherency, or you cannot. You just need to put them within 2 inches of a model that was already on the field. So you can put them in the backfield, start stacking back up in the back of it, and trigger your strat, trigger this, trigger the reanimator, boom, boom. A whole bunch of dudes are all back in the backfield. All you did was get your guys punched to the back row. Cool. So, and then you can destroy that unit at center and put all of your fury and might into it. That's all really cool. That's all real positive. And you know what? Honestly, probably after the GT, I wouldn't mind showcasing some of that stuff here on the channel. But the direction that I've been seeing and I've been going in is for a different thing. So if you go through it, there's a lot of breakdown on the units you use and the point cost that it comes into. And this is usually taking up around 700 points. Some of the nice things is like Illuminator Xeris with his lone op is able to function on multiple categories. He's able to fight well. He's able to shoot. He's basically out of Awakened Dynasty unkillable because you can stand him back up. And what he gives to the warriors is really a huge benefit. We had Armor of Contempt nerf because it was too strong. Too strong. I can't really pro or con it. I was kind of surprised when it happened, but I don't really use it that much. All the Armor of Contempt style strats pretty much getting nerfed to until end of phase. So having that is just a static aura for it is a powerful ability. Now, Necron warriors are toughness 4, 1 wound, 4 up save. Some people might question that, go, okay, well, but this is very, very weak in comparison to some other things. Why do we care about reducing that AP 1? Because cover. This is a unit that, because it doesn't have a 3-up save, when it's in cover, it does. Because any unit gets +1 to their save unless they have a 3-up, which is a critical point for this. It's not just reducing AP, which is how it sometimes feels, because some of the units like Marines and a lot of the 3-up save units cannot take advantage of this, where Necron warriors are a unit that can. So by having the majority of those models that are back behind a wall, out of line of sight, they are in cover. So when you go to take your save, you can elect to take it on them first, allowing you to keep your Conga line out there holding the 2 objectives. So when you take that cover save on them, this changes a lot of the numbers and makes certain weapons of higher value have to be used to damage this squad versus what you'd actually want to shoot at. Now, granted, blast weapons, putting a bunch more shots onto this unit. You're looking at 4 additional shots, whatever it may be, just hands down because of the unit it being 20 models in size. And because of the fact of the addition of the crypt thralls and the characters, the first 4 shots are free. So, and your animations too. So you are giving your opponent extra shooting on some of those weapons, and that can hurt, especially some weapons that traditionally they may only get +1 blast, and they are just like, okay, that's a good gun. And then now it's like, oh, but this. Forge Fiends, for example. Forge Fiends have blast, they have rapid fire, and they are D3 +3 shots as it is. Okay, and then you have 3 on that cannon. That is so much blast weaponry that just shooting at a Necron warrior squad, they're not going to want to face. And it's AP 3 and it's 3 damage. So if you go Technomancer, you're not stopping that. If you go Orokin and go with the 4-up invuln, you're taking a lot of 4-up invulns because that's where it's going to. You're not stopping it with any of your debuffs. So a lot of damage can come through there with blast weapons. And I apologize if I messed up the Forge Fiend stat line. It's been a little bit, but that's a very common tank that we see, especially from World Eaters, that could hurt that squad. Very little effort, especially if it becomes a target within 18 inches or the closest target. It's because that's out there on the objective. That's a lot of heat to put on that unit. So moving on. this unit with Xeris in cover ignores AP 0, actually gets a 3-up versus AP 0. AP 1, it ignores the AP 1 because of Xeris, and now gets cover, so it's still sitting at a 3-up. So AP 1, we're looking at a 3-up. AP 2 is when the math starts happening. Now we get -1 to our save, but I'm sorry, -2. So it takes it down to -1 for our save and kicks us up to a 4-up because now we're reducing the cover. So inherently, it's like we're AP 0, you have no buffs, you have a 4-up invuln, you have a 4-up save. So right now, AP 2 is not good, it's not really doing much for you because it's just bringing you back to the 4-up save. Now, you do have that 4-up invuln that's kind of wasted there. The only way you're going to reduce that armor and actually make that 4-up invuln a stopping point is if your opponent is shooting AP 3 or better weapons at them. If you're firing AP 3 weapons at my Necron warriors, like I said, Forge Fiend, that's a big one. I don't know many. It's one of those things that's kind of questionable. I can see why some people say Chronomancer at this point to be able to get the -1 to hit, so you have another time to kind of reduce the flow of dice coming in. But there's a lot of predominant rerolls in the game, so I don't know how strong I feel in that. I still like the 4-up invuln better because of combat. Being able to have that in combat, I think, is going to be much more of a selling point than just the shooting aspect and where the damage comes in. Because now in combat, you're still reducing the AP on things, but because of Xeris, but I believe so. He might be shooting only, but I think it's combat too. But anything AP 1 is going to be on your 4-up. So AP 1 and up, all going to be on 4-ups. 50% chance to slow it down. In a lot of scenarios, you just need 1 or 2 warriors to live. The squad's still alive, and you can rebuild it. Especially with coherency games where you can kind of hide and pull back and say, okay, regroup, let's get the squad back. Because that's all you need. 1 or 2 live, you trigger the strat, you trigger the barge, you go into your neck, and they trigger the reanimator. Your next turn, you trigger the your regular command stuff and everything, and you're back up to a good sizable unit. Rerolling the D3s, yeah, you're back up to a good size. But now what? So you're back in your backfield. Your opponent's taking the center field. You have to push back. What are you doing it with? You have 800 points invested into this. Your Ghost Arc isn't going to do anything. Xeris can do some work. The Reanimator isn't going to do anything. These are not going to provide you anything to your secondary game. They give you a little bit of outside zoning until they don't. It's depending on where they're hiding. So you can use them a bit to help zone out your backfield, but you're still going to need something else to cover to fully be able to cover all angles from someone just dropping in and wrecking 1, your barge, 2, your reanimator, or 3, hitting your squad from a point that they just absolutely shred them or take away the majority of cover in some senses. You need to defend against that. Good thing is, we have a lot of excellent units for that. Scarabs, Ophidians, all amazing. Even Scorpex, because of Scorpex kind of having the hit and run tactic of like hiding back behind a wall, wait. Okay, now the opponent's there, jump out, charge. They're great for it too. But that's still a lot of points dedicated there. Now I'm going to talk the counterpoint. Wraiths. Wraiths came down in points, first of all. Second of all, Wraiths can have a techno. They already come standard with the 4-up invuln. They're toughness 6. They can also be joined by Crypt Thralls. They don't receive any of the extra reanimation buffs, but they're more wounds overall. 4 wounds apiece in a 6 model squad for 24 wounds, plus the 6 from the Crypt Thralls, takes us up to a whopping 30 wounds. Now, if Canoptic Court, which is where I keep going back to, and this is a big reason why I keep shifting back to Canoptic Court, is because of things that these Wraiths can do. And the biggest thing is I need to shift back to Crypt Thralls, which I haven't been doing. And every time I put Crypt Thralls in there, they are so much more durable that I don't even miss the reanimation. The extra boosted reanimation. With Canoptic, if your opponent makes that dedication onto center for a command point, you can move the Wraiths away. That's one thing that the Warrior Brick is missing, because there are units, Blood Angels, Templars, things like that, that if they hit you and you have models still on that objective and they charge you and they complete that charge, there is a good chance that they could actually do enough damage just straight back that they obliterate the 20 man. With the Wraiths, you're getting the best of both. You can slow down a lot of damage. You can feel no pain a lot of damage off. Now let's shift away from the Canoptic Court though, and let's talk about Awaken for that aspect. You can still target them for a command point to give them the reanimating after they've been hit, +1 if led by a character. You can still keep a reanimator nearby them. It's very useful. This unit can take the glorious enhancement Veil of Darkness and be able to now cover 2 different objectives, because you're not necessarily needing to bring as much with it. Me personally, I like putting a reanimator in strategic reserve. I like being able to bring it on from a point where it starts to complete a secondary, control a zone, and everything that was around there that cleared out that zone and kind of got beat up after the fight. He's there to help it boost its reanimation so those units can move on to center or move towards home field or defend that objective in whatever fashion. I really like doing that. So being able to pick up Wraiths, put them down, control a section of the map, get hit for a turn, bring a reanimator on to support them, suddenly that unit is ultra durable in the same fashion, the same ways. Now, Necron Warriors do possess the ability to reroll the reanimation protocol roll, so it does give you a little bit of a boost there. But the 2d3 is fine, and not to mention the fact that the Technomancer can also heal a model. So there are situations, a lot of situations actually, that one of your Wraiths or one of the Thralls is going to come back and not have full wounds. The Technomancer can then heal them, giving them basically like additional reanimation protocol under certain circumstances and situations. These cannot have a resurrection orb with them. However, now we go back into the Catacomb Command Barge. And this is one of the interesting things. And this is one of the reasons I'm doing this video, because this is something that Ulyss and I discussed, and it's something that I've been starting to run. Someone else mentioned it in the comment section. And this is something I've been kind of running, and this is something I've been messing with an Awakened Dynasty list that I want to start playing more after this GT. I want to play characters first. It's silly. It's fun. We're going to have a good time. Plus, come on, I'm repping the Dynasty with all the characters, all right? I'm doing it, all right? That's it. I'm repping us with all characters. Let's see how it goes. But with a Catacomb Command Barge, it targets an infantry unit. That unit has 3 infantry models in it, which makes it a legal target for the Catacomb Command Barge's D6 once per game. The Catacomb also gives that unit a +1 OC value. So now we're looking at each one of those Wraiths at OC3. That's something that is very strong for the Warriors, but usually isn't cost efficient to be able to get that in there. With this, you have the ability to give them 3. So 2 of your Wraiths on an objective is now 6. That's 3 Necron Warriors. And those 3 Wraiths are as difficult to destroy. If you look at it just stats on paper without the feel no pain, that's still 12 wounds that you have to remove. If you successfully score 12 wounds, and we're not even talking about the feel no pain, against both squads, this squad is at 8 models now, under 50%. This is at 50%, just losing 3 models. Now, let's bring that feel no pain into it. With that feel no pain, we're losing maybe 2 now, depending on what these damage are and what these weapons hit with, because someone might be 2 damaged that the single wound models just go, okay, I take 2, I still lose 1 dude. Where they're like, oh, I take 2, okay, well, that's 2 feel no pain rolls there. So we're going to say that one of them definitely survives. So now we're above 50. Maybe he's got damage on him, but he survives because of feel no pain, and we only lost 2 models. When we go back, we can still catacomb, we can still strat, We can still try and pop and bring those back. We still have a reanimator hanging out nearby. I'll rapid ingress a reanimator. We got a bunch of ways to reduce CP. Now, that's the thing. The Wraiths don't reduce the command points. Okay, I got it. That's where I'm spending my command point. That's fine. Now, with the war, now if you do this and you go, okay, but why not run both? You're not going to have points for anything. You're not going to really do any damage. The Wraiths don't really do any damage. The thing out of Canoptic is they get the full rerolls to hit. Out of this, you have strats and have access to that, but you're going to need ways to reduce CP or gain CP. And with Emotech being the only CP generation that really is available, are you going to run Emotech or not? Is he worth 115 points? To me, I still say no. Emotech by himself, the 115 points for a CP, for me right now is still a no. I would rather pitch a card I can't do and get that positive spin on the CP and play Overlord in something else and be able to reduce command points into that. What's terrible right now is that the Lich Guard get hurt from both sides of it. They don't have the Feel No Pain. There's less models there. Not a lot of access to different reanimation tech with that. They're just not durable enough to survive long enough, and they don't hit hard enough to even kind of go in that balance. They're just under that. They just feel like they're under the equation. But we do have a lot of other stuff that do. Score packs have been talked about a lot. With what I'm just saying, the Wraiths are cheaper, okay? The Wraiths and the Warriors combined are pretty comparable in points for 20 dudes and 6 Wraiths. But now you're taking a Cryptek and Orokin in difference. Those guys are also similar in points. Now you have 2 Crypt Thralls, okay? Those are exactly the same in points for both of those units. You still have, now this squad is done, okay? All the unit models are in it. Now, and then you take Reanimator, and they take Reanimator, and Ghost Ark, and Xeris, and CCB, we're taking Catacomb, they're not, and Overlord. All those extra points. What can we do with all those extra points? Ophidians are phenomenal. Flayed ones are great infiltrating screens that are super cheap. I wish there was something else we could do with them. I wish there was a Flayed one character already, because I feel like Flayed one character would make them playable in like 10-man bricks. Okay, good Flayed one character. It could be a character that's really bad. But Flayed one need a character. Please, GW, give us a character. There is a lot of other options that still work really well. Our damage output is not the best. Because of the resurrection reanimation rules that we have, we're bringing models back a lot. We are able to. But there are some strong options depending on your meta. I highly recommend score packs. And with what I'm talking about, you can get deeper into the score pack pool. Score packs are great. Score pack lords are great. Score pack lords by themselves are great. Score pack your lords with a unit are also nice. That's a lot of MSU. That's a lot of things that can just fan out there, and your opponent has to pick the targets they're hitting or stay away from things because the unit has an 8-inch move and can go rush at somebody. Triarch Praetorians are actually looking pretty good right now. I've really been very happy with them. Just their general performance. The re-rolling failed charges is very nice. Our re-roll charge is very nice. I'm going with staves because I like the 2 damage aspect of it. I know that a lot of people are like, oh, the mortal wound's a particle caster. I like the strength and I like the damage behind it, because there's a lot of things in Necrons that can't finish units but can do solid damage. The particle casters, I feel like they can do solid damage or not do damage. Where the blades, I've had better luck, at least in combat aspect, when I get them in that combat aspect, to be able to do enough damage to make that squad have to answer. So right now, I kind of like the blades, the two-handed, the staves better, but we'll see over time how that goes. So yeah, I kind of, like I said, I feel like the Wraiths are the better competitive option for the point investment that we're getting off of it to be able to utilize elsewhere. I feel like the Wraiths are just the durability, the efficiency, just all in all, I feel like they're just the better answer right now because of how many points and how much dedication has to be put into the warriors. How much needs to go there? And if one thing goes wrong, they said it. It is a high level, high competitive build, and I agree. If one thing goes wrong with how many vehicles can move through walls, with how many things are still able to deep strike within 6 inches, I mean, Death Guard go and say, okay, I'm going to pick your Ghost Arc. I'm going with this ability, so it's in contagion. I'm going to drop within 6 inches of you, and I'm going to charge that thing. And now they take out the Ghost Arc, and because it's so close to your warriors, they're piled into the warriors. Fall back, I'm going to overwatch you with anti-infantry flamers. Things like that, things like Death Shroud and that, make me scared to run things that can't run things on the durability aspect that don't go all the way. Don't have the invuln, don't have the feel no pain, don't have all the defenses needed to survive some of these units coming in. Now, this doesn't allow me to play a lot of the screening games with them and like hold you out here, pick up and do that. Doesn't allow that, but and it does require a CP to be spent on it. But I feel like my play style goes more around the Wraiths. Now, with all that being said, I want to close out this video with one thing and say one thing. Warhammer is, and I say this all the time, you have to like what you're playing and how it plays. Just because an army is good, just because an army has a lot of power to it, does not mean it is the best in the game. You may not be able to run it as good as someone else does, because if you're not having fun with it, you're not going to see all the potential it has. You have to like what you're going to run. I like Warriors. I'm very curious to run this myself and see how it plays, and I do plan on giving it a couple runs here after the GT, running a Warrior brick, because I haven't played Warriors in a while, so why not? But I have been tweaking into something that's with the Wraiths, and I feel like that's a better core for the primary games, with the current meta, with the weapons in the game, et cetera, than the Warriors at this time. But that's one man's take. That's me. I also love canoptic units. So for me, my opinion is going to be skewed towards canoptic units a lot of ways. So maybe I'm wrong. And maybe that's one of the reasons I got to try this thing and play on the table. But hey, that's Warhammer. It's a hobby. It's a game. We have a lot of fun with it. And this is just one individual man's opinion. All right, guys. Well, that's it. I'm going to wrap this one up. As always, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.